Let's come back and take a look at the
local
dailies.
Anasema hapa ni kama huyo mwenye amesoma hiyo vio ya quote of the day ame break voice.
Ipo siku. We start off with the Daily Nation. Tax row exposes Kenyatta family expressway deal. So a contract between Edgeworth Properties and Car Infrastructure Construction Company, the Nairobi expressway contractor, will not have raised any eyebrows were it not for a tax feud over millions of shillings. Now, the dispute has exposed another well-kept secret, the Kenyatta family link to the mega road project. They say transparency, a conflict of interest bill passed by MPs, is awaiting presidential assent. This story has been covered on page 4 and 5. It's a very long story here. You can take a look at it, and they say at the time, President Kenyatta was keen on blocking public servants from doing business with government. A tax dispute has revealed his family business empire's links to construction of elevated highway. That is a view of Museum Hill to Westland section of the 27-kilometer Nairobi expressway. The Chinese-built highway opened to traffic in May 2022. Construction of the 88 billion shillings road had started in 2019. Other stories here: fast male birth control pill clears another milestone.
Shida. Hapo kuna shida.
Chukueni hiyo kitu nyinyi. The campaign for a third category of contraceptives for men after condoms and vasectomies is gathering pace, with the first hormone-free birth control pill passing a crucial safety trial.
The question is, how African is this? And probably that's the issue.
How African is this?
The virility of an African man. Anyway, and I think the debate will be around that. The same thing about vasectomies. How many African men just say yes to vasectomy?
Countable.
Wengi hata wenye wanakubali hawezi zungumzia huku nje wananyamaza.
Hakuna. Siku hizi unajua people are open to talking about these things.
Yeah.
Unaenda pale social media,
unasema I had a vasectomy. Utamalizwa hapa, you will be cooked proper.
Hakuna. Take a shot for your spouse. Other stories here. IEBC begins reviewing a petition to kick out Passaris from House. 4 petitioners submit a petition to the Electoral Commission seeking the ouster of Nairobi Women Representative Esther Passaris. The polls agency will consider whether the recall petition meets the legal threshold. That story is on page 8.
This debate about recalling MPs is something that people need to talk about, because I had a panel, I think a few weeks back, last week. Told me, by the way, as it is right now, that law is not that very, it does not provide an easy path to recalling your MP. So is it an action in futility, trying to recall your MP as it is right now? The
activists accuse Esther Passaris of failing to fully represent interests of Nairobi residents. Why head teachers want parents to pay more fees, and as debate rages of the fate of free education given reduced budgetary allocation, head teachers are seeking clearance to charge parents extra fees to plug the shortfall. They argue the cash crunch will disrupt operations in public schools next term. They're throwing Badi under the bus. 10 hurdles Ruto opponents face ahead of the 2027 poll. Politicians working to topple the Kenya Kwanza regime in the next elections must overcome several obstacles on the path to crafting a winning formula. And one of them, sibling rivalry, infiltration, dealers' troubles. Speaking of a flag bearer, satisfying ambitious voting blocks, satisfying the competition benchmark, diplomacy and compromises, dealing with incumbency, muscle at the finishing line, and post-election reality. On the back page of the Daily Nation, more than a tournament, DR Congo on special assignment. Football, Kenya will co-host 2024 African Nations Championship with Uganda and Tanzania. Just 4 days to go. Congolese living in Nairobi hope team's success can bring peace in Eastern DRC.
Yeah, DRC will be facing Kenya on Sunday at the Kasarani. That, I think, the first game of the tournament. Yeah.
That's the Daily Nation.
Right. The Daily Nation, take a look at the People Daily. Queries over plan to use ID cards as a vote. Now, this debate has raged on for quite a while. People wanasema, sio lazima tukue na voters card. As long as I have an ID, I can actually do this. But this story is not just about that. It's about what methods we've been using to identify a valid voter. And the argument is we already have biometric voter identification. Once you have biometric voter identification, then you do not need another card to tell you are a voter, because you're already registered as a voter. Biometric. It does not mean that you may have an ID and you're already on the list of registered voters. You may have an ID, but you've not registered as a voter. But your biometrics should be the identifying thing. So the move has sparked debate on whether it could be an avenue to recruit aliens to register, because IEBC, among its proposals, it's saying that this should be used for the 2027 election. Just once you have an ID, kuja, weka fingerprints, tunajua ni wewe. They actually want to go further and use the eye scan. Tunakuja we scan your eye, tunajua ni
kama WorldCoin.
Tunakwambia wewe hujaregister kuvote. Enda nyumbani. So what do you think about it? Should we just use the ID cards while voting? That's the story there. Another story here on the front page of the People Daily, Mackenzie used Ukraine versus Russia war to instill fear of the end of the world. Niambia watu dunia itafika. Kwanza kuna mwingine alisema dunia inaisha August 2nd.
Alisema mlimnisquat, wacheni mambo yenu.
Ali withdraw. Kwa hivyo dunia ikuishi.
Kuna kitu kama hiyo. Sema nobody knows the time and the hour.
Because itafika August 2nd, alafu tupita, alafu ataambia nini watu. Second mpox case in Mombasa and the untold pain. There's cases of mpox in Mombasa. Na pale juu why Raila is at a crossroads in backing Ruto. ODM, siasa zinaendelea. People Daily.
Unaona, at least in Kenya we can talk about opposition party. The Standard betraying Kenyans abducted abroad. Kenyans are being abducted, tortured and dumped across East African borders, yet their government watches in silence. From human rights activist Mobili Mwagodi, left drugged and traumatized in Diani after 4 days of torment in Tanzania, to the earlier seizure and sexual assault of Boniface Mwangi and Ugandan journalist Agatha Atuhaire. The pattern is chilling, with no formal charges, no consular access and no accountability demanded. These incidents raise the alarm on a brewing diplomatic disaster. At the center of the storm are President William Ruto and Foreign Affairs CS Musalia Mudavadi, who have failed to condemn the violations or defend Kenya's sovereignty. Critics now accuse the state of betrayal, worse of complicity. And
here, by the way, to be honest, I have to point a finger on the CS, Prime CS, who's in charge of Foreign Affairs. How do you remain silent? Say something. Even if I claim that I've been abducted, even if I just make a claim that I've been abducted in Tanzania, the Foreign Affairs Ministry should issue a statement and say whether or not it's true, the fact that they're investigating and they will find out what is happening, and whether I'm making a claim which is not true, then I'll be taken to court. But you cannot just remain silent as a Foreign Affairs Ministry. And the Embassy of Kenya in Tanzania. Kuna ambassador kule? Amenyamaza tu?
Hana maoni.
Hana maoni. Mkenya amesema I was abducted in Tanzania.
That time the Prime CS was being interviewed about Boniface Mwangi, akasema, you know, these guys didn't even say they were going to Tanzania.
Oh really? I went through the airport. That's, should I write a letter to the Foreign Affairs Ministry to tell them I'm traveling? Surely. Once I leave this country and my passport is stamped at the airport, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs knows that I've actually exited the country. Awacha tuletee huyu jamaa. Kama kuna mtu ametulet down and I really feel let down, is a Foreign Affairs CS, Musalia Mudavadi. Yes.
On the top strip, policy confusion cuts cripple public schools. Government's shrinking education budget and policy flip-flops leave schools reeling, parents paying more, and the promise of free education in doubt. Still talking about that debate on whether free education is going to be scrapped off or not. This story is on page 6 and 7 of the Standard. Lakini sumesikia venye wanapeana contradicting reports. You know, the Education Cabinet Secretary was there in Parliament with Mbadi akisema we cannot, we are living a lie.
Na kuzungumza?
Hakuongea anything.
Alafu President anakuja kusema mambo mengine.
President anasema mambo mengine, and then the Education CS yesterday also said something different. Alisema no, we cannot scrap off free education, it will continue.
Nafikiri waliongea wakasema ukweli yao, alafu akaambia mbona mnaenda kusema vitu kama hiyo?
Amemrusha hapo chini ya basi.
Mbona mnaenda kusema vitu kama nani aliwaambia tunatoa free primary education?
Other stories here. Frozen out, Kenya's forsaken me, Olympian says as she mails quitting. Police officer denies charge of killing vendor Boniface Kariuki. This is Clinzy Barasa, may deny the murder charges. Honky Tonk, Kenya, where country music has found an unlikely home. Police keep court in trial of killer Pangani officer. On the back page of the Standard, Morocco are historic third CHAN title. And at last, Lions became the first team to arrive in Nairobi yesterday. Defender Marouane Lodney. Looking forward to successful tournament.
Yes, Group A participants are already in the country. That's the Atlas of Morocco, DRC, Angola and Zambia alongside Kenya. So most of the Group A matches will be played in Kenya, the Kasarani. Sunday DRC faces Kenya and the Harambee Stars. Tukichapwa na watu wa Lingala, mimi hata ndawacha kuocha football. Yo, if we don't win by the end, I'm done.
Itakuwa aibu. That's the standard.
Tiwakona ngombe moja.
Haters.
All right, Business Daily secret WhatsApp reveal price fixing in steel firms. Seized executives' phones used to nail cartels. So they say that secret emails, WhatsApp chats, and minutes of meetings helped the competition watchdog to crack cartel-like behavior among top players in the local steel industry, which saw 9 firms fined for fixing prices, restricting output, and revising the size of products. This picture there is for Devki Group Chairman Narendra Val. Devki is among the top steel millers in Kenya. And wamepatikana kwa WhatsApp group wanapanga maneno ya ku manipulate biashara. Grab yourself a copy of the Business Daily and read more on this. Other stories on the front page of the Business Daily: institutional investors overtake individuals in NSC share trading. On the ticker, Tanzania firm gets more time to buy out Bamburi holdouts. IFC stand chart in trade finance deal. These are some of the business-related stories today on the front page of the Business Daily.
All right. Taifa Leo, Sifuna, bado kona mbaya. Kimeumana, mkutano wa leo utakaojumuisha viongozi wa ngazi ya juu chamani unalenga kutoa msimamo bayana kuhusu ushirikiano kati ya ODM na Rais Ruto katika serikali jumuishi. Sifuna amekuwa akipinga vikali ushirikiano huo, hali ambayo imezua mgogoro ndani ya chama hicho. Raila alimtetea wiki jana, sio wiki jana tu, amekuwa akimtetea. Sema huku ODM ikiandaa kikao cha kuzima moto chamani leo, Oburu na Atandi waungana na wengine kumsuta katibu mkuu. Lakini wameambiwa chini Sifuna aongee.
Now, you see, this debate now appears to be driving a wedge right in the middle of ODM's base, which is Western Kenya, the regions around Western Kenya, Kakamega, Busia, Trans Nzoia, and Bungoma, and the Nyanza counties of Siaya, Kisumu, and let's say Homa Bay, for example, because Kisini kama waliondoka. But if at all they can actually have a proper crack between Nyanza and Western Kenya, ODM is done. ODM is done. You saw that conference, delegates conference, ambapo walikuja kusema they support their son, Sifuna, na wale wenye wanaongea sana ni upande ule mwingine wa Nyanza counties. Hapo ndio kuna shida. And if at all it persists, I'm beginning to see the end
Of ODM.
No, not really ODM. Wacha nisisema watasema mimi ni prophet, lakini hapo kuna shida. Naambia hapo kuna shida.
Vidokezo zaidi: mtihani wa Mudavadi Malava ana kibarua kigumu cha kuhakikisha UDA inashinda ubunge uliokuwa wa ANC. Hofu walinzi wakiuawa na kungolewa ndimi zao, hata biashara za fungwa mapema Kakamega. FBC kuzikwa na serikali, Ruto akubali wito wa maendeleo ya wanawake kusimamia mazishi Agosti tarehe 4. Alikufa last week but one, yeah? On the top strip, tunataka mgao mzima wa karo. Walimu wakuu waunga mkono kauli ya Mbadi kuhusu karo. Na masuala ya spoti, Morocco watua Kenya kwa CHAN. Harambee Stars inafungua dimba hili Jumapili ijayo dhidi ya DR Congo. Taifa Leo.
On the Star, high stakes for Ruto, Raila and Rigathi in mini polls, and we do have a physical copy of this paper. So this is the main story on pages 4 and 5, and they have a map of Kenya where places like Ugunja, Baringo, Mbere, North and Banisa, these are just some of the constituencies that are lacking representation following the death or exit of their initial members of parliament. Areas like Banisa, Kulu Maalim passed on like a year after the election. Harrison Kombe, the court nullified his election. William Cheptumo, the senator for Baringo, he passed on early this year. Opiyo Wandayi from Unguja, who was appointed to the cabinet, and now his position as MP of Unguja needs to be replaced. Geoffrey Ruku, who was also appointed to cabinet. Now the position of MP for Mbeere North is up for grabs. And Malulu Injendi, who passed on, is the MP for Malava. Na ni kama Malava ndio kuna a lot of concentration. Faruki betu ushinda Malava like every weekend. Anaongea tu Kiluya huko. Na Malulu Injendi alikuwa MP wa ANC. ANC is no longer there. So Musalia Mudavadi anaenda kucampaign for UDA. High stakes for Ruto and Raila and Gachagua in 23 by-elections. This will determine a lot. And you can read this story on pages 4 and 5. They are likely to reshape the balance of power and define the trajectory of the 2027 general election. 23 by-elections. Members of the National Assembly, some members of the Senate, as well as members of county assemblies. Remember, today is a Tuesday, so the star is not for sale. And it comes with a complimentary pullout of MyGov for government tenders and job opportunities. Grab yourself a copy of this paper. Fresh, independent, different. One more story there. AIDS stigma. Transgenders, drug users left behind in the fight against HIV. Remember, it was earlier this week we were saying that Kenya is going to be receiving some vaccines against HIV. Uganda wako nayo tayari, Kenya pia. So maswala ya HIV ni kama tutaipata kwa front pages in the coming few months. The Star.
I saw somewhere an activist, of course, HIV, akisema there's no vaccine like that. I saw it yesterday. Well,
it's on the front pages, so sisi ni kusoma tu magazeti tunasoma. Ikifika tutajua imefika.
But you know, they know better because wanavaa hiyo kiatu wanajua. So tuangalie caricature sasa hivi. Those are the local dailies. This is the daily, People Daily. Sakaja makes it again kwa caricature. Lakini kuna mzazi pale anasema that's the governor's statue. That's how he wants to be remembered.
And they have the governor of Nairobi amekalia takataka. Hiyo ndo statue yake. I don't think the governor will be happy to see this cartoon. The filth in Nairobi, garbage collection. Mzazi anaambia watoto, that's the governor's statue. That's how he wants to be remembered.
Ni kama tuna dustbins in town.
Ni kama kazi haifanyiki. Nilisikia kuna jamaa mmoja ndo alipewa tenda ya kuokota takataka huku Nairobi. Lakini ni MP fulani wa kule Rift Valley. Nilisikia. Sijui kama ni ukweli lakini nilisikia.
That's the People Daily.
The Standard now paints a picture of footballers, but it draws a comparison between football in East Africa, the fact that we are hosting the CHAN tournament, as well as the kind of politics and cross-border abduction that we've been talking about. So we have images here of the East African presidents of Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya playing football. Na wanasema 2024 CHAN ndio mpira. Wale wanasema let's kick out the activists. The activists wakizunguka hapa hivi, ukienda Uganda unashikwa, ukienda Tanzania unashikwa. So right now they're comparing that and drawing a parallel with the football tournament. CHAN.
Co-host lakini hawaelewani.
Wanaelewana, hawa watatu wanaelewana, ndio maana watu wakienda kule wanafinywa.
Na sisi our leaders wanaelewana, lakini how about us the citizens of these nations? This is the Daily Nation. Matters free education again. Buddy is here.
Na kuna ile mkia ya skunk. Unajua is the one who said let's give Ruto his skunk. He's part of the skunk now.
Free education and not very feasible. Lakini pale mfungwa mdomo anaambiwa
unasema nini? Unasema nini? Nyamaza huwa.
Funga mdomo.
Don't say the truth.
Lakini you know, hata kama wanakataa, I don't think Mbadi aliamka tu na kaenda kuongea kwa media.
Head teachers are saying, umeona kama kwa the front page of Taifa Leo, head teachers wanasema bana, Mbadi anasema ukweli. Hizo pesa hakuna. Hakuna. So mbona tudanganyane? Mbadi said we've been living a lie. Yes, hatuna hizi pesa za free primary. Mbona tudanganyane? Hata mkija mseme we will ensure free primary education is kama hakuna pesa, hakuna pesa. Cartoon on the Star talks about free education as well, meaning that this is still a big discussion. Matters, are we able to fund our education? So hapa kuna ni hospitali wanasema ni kama free education iko ICU. Na kuna mashilingi yamewekwa pale kwenye drip. Ingie kwa free education. Further kuna za empowerment. Inaitwa empowerment?
Yes.
People empowerment. Empowerment campaign. Lakini za Elimu ni kama hatuna hiyo pesa.
97 web 2.
87 shillings.
All right.
Yes, for State of the Nation discussing this big headlines, we'll be having MPs